Dear my brothers and sisters, a good day. First of all, God bless you all. And recognizing Jerusalem as Israel's capital will not go answered. Only Turkey is capable of saying such a thing. Who are you to trade in Turkey on behalf of the United States, Israel? We have seen your agents in politics, the business world, in intellectual circles, media, time and time. Again, people have threatened Turkey on behalf of others with an iron hand in a velvet glove. We have had our fair share of people threaten Turkey, the nation, the homeland, the state, our past and future, many times in the name of forces, the circles they feel a belonging, loyalty toward, in the name of their priorities and interests. We have had our fair share of those who invade the highest positions instead be critical position, instead be appointed to its most critical positions, who felt no attachment to this country, who strive on the behalf of multinational circles, who see their interests and gains above this state, this nation's interests and gains, who secretly serve them. We saw them in politics, media, intelligence, diplomacy, business world. We saw such people in politics, the business world, in intellectual circles, media, intelligence, and in diplomacy, and we will see more of them. Those who underestimate the growing threats in the east of the EU phrase today are going to appear before us as such people tomorrow. Those who cooperate with multinational circles to stop Turkey's great march today, who will this under the guise of innocent opposition are going to appear before us as such people tomorrow. Those who act upon the priorities of the PKK and the FETÖ terrorist organization today and carry this on in state authorities among the people are going to appear before us as such people tomorrow. Those who seek refuge in other identities because they cannot act openly in the name of the PKK, those who were made to replace FETÖ terrorist organization are going to appear before us in the same way tomorrow. Those hiding PKK terrorists in their list of mayoral candidates today are going to appear before us in new multinational intervention tomorrow. Why are you so disturbed by the S-400 muzzle system? Question. There will always be those who punish headlines such as NATO is disturbed when Turkey refuses to buy air defense system from the United States. Those who say NATO should come to the southeast. Those who say NATO should take control over the East Mediterranean, and those who will attempt to readjust Turkey on behalf of the United States, Israel, and the European Union. those who make trace concerning the steps Turkey has taken to break the West's military technology embargo, who say do not dare buy S-400. The consequences will be severe. Do not say this out of their personal fears. They speak on behalf of the circles to which they belong, on which they are dependent on and serve. Turkey's former ambassador to Washington, Namık Tan's objections are of this kind. They are no diplomatic projection or warning. It is an attempt to adjust this country for the United States-Israel axis to which he is close. Looking at the lobby that made Namık Tan ambassador to Israel, United States, I am not surprised at all about Namık Tan, who was confronted with President Recep Tayyip Erdogan's harsh words. You are in betrayal, so you want to make a living of this nation, be an ambassador, and then make a statement in such a rude manner. First of all, is it your place? Who gives you the right to say such a thing just because you are ambassador, just because you retired? Instead of being surprised, I will question the lobbies that directed him to the Israeli embassy, the United States embassy. Why? Allow me to relate a memory. It was years ago. Israel was attacking Lebanon. Covert operations were being carried out on February 28 within the context of secret Turkey-Israel agreements. They were very serious claims that some special units were working together with Israel. When I mentioned this, Namık Tan showed a strong reaction. Back then, he was the foreign affairs speaker. It was September 15, 2006. He was concerned for Israel. Such a reaction from a speaker was natural and necessary. This is what he had to do. But the reaction was more protective of Israel than it was of Turkey. It was obvious in every way that his concern was for Israel. I was extremely disturbed. He called and we agreed about the statement and publishing this. An hour after the call, he had Anadolu Agency, news agency, Turkey's public news agency, publish a vitriolic statement. My first response to the reaction was, Namık Tan might be appointed to Israel as ambassador. That is exactly what happened, because Tan's sensitivities and priorities regarding Israel have always drawn my attention. Hence, he was appointed on September 29 as ambassador. The reason behind the concern and extreme anger was revealed. He now waves his finger at Turkey for the United States, Israel. On October 31, 2006, I said in an article titled, "Am I very ill-intentioned? I still maintain my opinion that Tan's method of denying the claims in question and his strange concern are related more to his personal career than they are to concern aimed at Turkey's foreign policy. foreign policy. It appears uh, what I want to say that Tan's method of it appears that he had already made great efforts to establish good relations with Israel even before being appointed, then later became Turkey's ambassador to Washington. I remember exclaiming, oh no, when I heard the news, the same Tan is now waving his finger at Turkey on behalf of the United States, on behalf of the France, Israel, and on behalf of their common circles. He is making threats such as "Do not dare" by the Russian S-400s, and he is saying this under his diplomatic identity. Are we going to take this as diplomatic wisdom or as acting in capacity as a speaker of other agendas? I had personally noted that back in 2006, I have been watching him ever since, and his place in my mind is quite clear. Regardless of your political identities, it is where you stand in history that counts. Let us take a look at what happens after this. Let us look at what happened after the attack aimed at dividing this country through FETÖ terrorist organization. Let us look at those who act on behalf of the PKK terrorist group and camouflage this with a conservative identity. Let us look at circle adjusted to stop Turkey's great march from within the country. Let us look at the mind and will that gathered unrelated political identities under a single roof of the March 35 local elections and turn it into a joint front. Let us take a look at this new agenda whose political aim is in no way to strengthen Turkey. Let us look at the multinational attacks controlled from the abroad and adjusted to weaken Turkey's backbone and leave it defenseless. Let us look at the grouping inside that are parallel to these attacks. And also let us look at those who have taken positions in politics, bureaucracy, the business world, media, and non-governmental organizations in this context. If we do not look at them today, we will come face to face with big surprises tomorrow. Regardless of your political identities, it is your position in history that counts. The Turkey axis is a single political identity. This is valid for both the region and Turkey, regardless of your conjunctural realities, regardless of your affairs and interests, your angers and objects, regardless of your ethnic identity. It is where you stand in political history that is important. If you have been acting in this region with the history-making political gain and wealth for 1,000 years, if you are on the Turkey axis today, you belong to this country. You are this country's past and future. If you are there, if you have other friends and partners, you can never be local. Now it's time to take a good look and see who stands where. Now is the time to pay attention to who is standing where and with whom. there will be a response for Jerusalem. Only Turkey would say such a thing. The previous evening, while speaking about Hagia Sophia, President, His Excellency Erdogan said something along the lines of, you are going to recognize Jerusalem as an Israeli's capital city. Now there has to be a response to this. There is no country other than Turkey that can say such a thing. There was none in the past, and there will be none in the future. There is Turkey. This is what it means to be local. This is the thousand-year political tradition and genetic, regardless of your political circle. This is the true political identity. This is where we stand. We will never allow those who determine a position other than this to threaten Turkey and this nation. Thank you very much, dear my brothers and sisters, and God bless you all.